Hello and welcome to today's video, which is going to be my September wrap-up. I read 6 books in September, and we're going to be going through all 6. I'm in college now. If you can't tell, I'm not reading as much, which is okay, which is something I expected. It kind of makes me sad, but it's okay. If you've never seen me before, hi, my name's Reagan, and I do mostly book content. We're going to go through each book, and I'm going to tell you about it. You guys know how wrap-ups work, so I don't know why I'm trying to explain them to you. First book, we have Too Wild to Tame by Tessa Bailey. This is the second book in the Romancing the Clarksons series. I gave this a 2 stars, unfortunately. I'm like going through Tessa Bailey's backlist right now. I'm getting some mixed reviews. Some of them are enjoyable. This one was unfortunately not. I just don't think I really liked the guy in this book. There was this whole thing where he was like, I'm a bad person, whatever. Sometimes when you have that in a book, it's like over-exaggerated. I really did feel like the MMC in this book was actually a bad person. So it made it really hard to read because I was like, I'm not rooting for you really at all. The Romancing the Clarksons series is about the 4 Clarkson siblings, Rita, Erin, Peggy, and Belmont. Their mother recently just passed and they found her journal. Her last dying wish was for them to travel together to New York and jump in the river at midnight. Rita gets everyone together and they go, and each book is following one of the siblings. The first one followed Rita, this one follows Erin. Erin's a politician. He's done something bad and we don't know what it is, and he's gotten kicked off this political campaign. So he's traveled to meet up with the front runner of this campaign, the senator, in order to try and get his job back, and he ends up falling for the senator's daughter. Like I said earlier, I just didn't feel like the MMC was redeemable in the things that he did. It was kind of like the big reveal, and I felt like the FMC got over it like way too quickly. It wasn't for me. It could be for you. They're pretty run-of-the-mill rom-coms. They're really fun to read, but this one just wasn't my favorite out of the series. Next, I read Reckless by Elsie Silver. This is the 4th book in the Chestnut Springs series. I gave this book a 4 stars. I really enjoyed this one. The Chestnut Springs series follows 5 different men. Currently 4 books are out, but the 5th one's coming out like next month. The first one's a bull rider romance, and then it follows the brothers and the friends, and each one gets like a book. So this book was about Theo, which is the protege of the MMC from the first book, and Winter, which is the sister of the FMC in the first book. I don't want to spoil anything from the first book, but Winter is getting out of a terrible relationship and he meets Theo, who is this like rugged, young, very like loose cannon of a bull rider, and they have like a little thing. And that's all I'm gonna say. I'm trying not to like spoil anything because this series is really good and you guys should all read it. If the last book is a 5 star, it might end up being a 5-star series for me. I recommend, definitely. Next, I read Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I don't feel like I need to explain the synopsis of this book. I rated it 4 stars, but I have a hard time rating classic because I don't feel like I'm smart enough to actually give an opinion on them, but that's not true. I am smart and I should be able to give my opinion on them. I really enjoyed this classic. Some classics can be really slow because they don't have a plot and they're really character focused, and I felt this one was a good mix of both. Not that character focuses are bad, I really enjoy those, but in a classic I like when there's like an invigorating plot because the language is hard. So if there's an invigorating plot, I feel like it's easier to keep up with the events that are happening in the book, and this one gave that to me. It was dark and mysterious. I think it was a good time for me to read this book. The edition I got was the critical edition. This whole part is the actual Frankenstein book and this is the critique. It's really short, which I didn't know about Frankenstein. I think if you've wanted to read Frankenstein for a while, the fall time is a perfect time to do so. Things We Left Behind by Lucy Score. This is the final book in the Knockamout trilogy. This follows Lucian and Salome. If you don't know what the Knockamout trilogy is, the first book follows Knox and Naomi, and the second book follows Nash and Lena. They all live in this small town, mostly grumpy sunshine. The first one, Knox, is really grumpy and they get off to like a bad start and then they have to like work together. It's this whole thing. And then the second one, Nash is a police officer and Lena is a like special agent, and this one Lucian is a billionaire and Sloane is a librarian. A lot of people are having a hard time with this book and like not rating it very highly. I honestly really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4.25. I think it was one of my favorite books in the series. I don't know, I really enjoyed this one. Everyone was like, I feel like you didn't get enough of Lucian and Sloane, and I can see how you think that, but I don't know, I just thought it was really well done and I had a great time with it. But if you haven't read this one, this is another must read. Too Hard to Forget by Tessa Bailey. This is the third one in the Romancing the Clarksons. This one I enjoyed more. I rated it 3 stars. They're on the road trip and they stop to let Peggy go to her college alumni reunion. Peggy and the football coach have a little bit of a history. It's kind of rekindled and Peggy's trying to make him jealous and get over him at the same time. It could have been a 4-star. I just didn't like the religious aspect. The way it was done was a little bit messed up, and I get that was the point. I just felt like there could have been something else used that's not as like sensitive as religion, and some people it probably won't bother, but just because of my experience in religion, I couldn't get behind it. The issue was solved very quickly. I think that is one of my complaints in this series, like overall, because a lot of it is very like deep and emotional and trauma kind of stuff. The resolution is just too quick sometimes, and that was definitely the case in this one. It was 3 stars. It was a good rom-com, quick read. The last book I read this month is Tender as the Flesh. This is a horror dystopian translated from Spanish. I can't rate this book. I have to think more deeply about it because I don't feel right giving it like a 4 stars. I think what's hard about books like this is I didn't enjoy it. Most of the time I read for my own enjoyment. So when I read a book like this that is like compositionally really well done, I typically rate my books on an enjoyment scale. That's what my rating scale is. Not everyone's like that, but that's what mine is. When I'm trying to rate this book, I did not enjoy reading this at all. It was horrifying and gross. So currently I don't have a rating for you. If you're interested in this, this is about a world in which animals were diseased and they had to be eliminated. There's no more animals in the world. Animal products, you can't eat anything, you can't have a pet. The government has legalized cannibalism as a form of meat. We're following this man who works in the processing industry of cannibalism. He works in a slaughterhouse. They are killing and eating humans, and everything in their society, how ours is based off of animal products, theirs is based off of human products, and they're called special products or special meat. It is really hard to read and jarring and messed up, and the end got me. I'm still a little confused and baffled. So if you're interested in this at all, I would definitely recommend reading. It is very graphic and I might look up the trigger warnings if you're worried about that. So that is everything that I read in the month of September. Not as much as I normally read, but that's okay because I did read some pretty good books. Thank you so much for watching today and putting in your time with me. Go check out any other videos down below, and hopefully I will see you in another one. Bye.